Guys, Don Leith here, Omaha, Nebraska, aka Papa Don. Now, well, I don't know if you've ever been in Atlanta, Georgia airport at midnight or not, but that's where I am. Headed out for a couple days. I was going to attend which I did attend, a mastermind meeting on how to improve your online business. And it was a great meeting. Coming back today after I left my destination city, heading back to Atlanta. The weather was really rotten. Flights were all getting delayed and getting held back. And so I thought, well, if I can make this connection in Atlanta, I'll be fine getting back to Omaha. I got in here, of course, I was on the airplane, and they were trying to get everybody to let the people with real tight connections off. So it took forever to get off the plane, and then got in. Of course, my flight was gone. And so here I am in Atlanta, Georgia. Now the airlines is nice. They're trying to tell me, you can go to a hotel, but you're gonna be back here in just a few hours because you got through security and all that stuff. So what am I talking about here? Well, I'm talking about trying to improve your business, and here comes one obstacle after another, just bombarding. So what does that say? I don't know. Talked to Adam, and it's just confirmation that I'm doing exactly what I should be doing, because you just don't get bombarded like that unless you're doing the correct thing. So what would have been the easiest thing to do? I'll just throw my hands up in the air and quit. That's a pretty easy thing to do at any time. But that's a little more important than that. It kind of brings out more determination in the process. I just thought I'd share this with you. It's just absolutely almost hysterical what the day has been like. Bombarded with all the negatives that you can dream of. But you know what? It's all positive. It's all positive. So when you get ready to think you're going to give it up or whatever, just know that you're not out there all by yourself. Other people do have some things they step in once in a while, and some of it might have a little stinky odor to it once in a while if you let it get to you. But that's not the way it happens. Hey, thanks for listening, and good luck to all of you, and keep plugging away. It's a great thing we're doing here. All right, do your thing with 3LE. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
All right, Don, guys, we are so excited. This has been, and we want to give a bit of a backstory. Don waited an entire year to partner with the 3LE team officially. And there is an incredible story behind this, but you talk about perseverance, you talk about patience, you talk about, he led the charge for us. And we're really excited to get to bring him on here today. But even before that, Don had an opportunity to go learn about a company that we were looking to partner with. And one thing that we talk all about is within the trifecta and having the right team. And Don had an opportunity to go down to the corporate headquarters, learn about the company, learn about a potential team that we would have been working with. And through that process, we actually found that that team wasn't aligned with where we wanted to take 3LE team. And if you're within the network marketing space and maybe you're working with a mentor that doesn't really get you, maybe a little big for their britches, may just be someone that's not willing to be a servant leader and help you, we want you to understand that 3LE team offers that community. We offer a space where you can come and thrive. And Donald was really the person that helped basically wage that path forward for us.
Absolutely, guys. Here's the thing. While Don was not able to join 3LE team, like actually building a team and a business, he actually was helping build 3LE team in my wife and I, especially me, in the last year, because, when we went out on this venture, it was a big undertaking. We were done playing around with this industry. Okay. We had partnered with a technology partner out of Phoenix, Arizona. We had partnered with a marketing partner out of Seattle, Washington. And then there was this little couple here in Omaha, Nebraska, this flyover state that was saying, I think we can do this thing bigger. I think we can do it better. I think we can have a bigger impact than anybody's ever had in this thing. And if you've ever been laughed at before, you haven't been laughed at the way we've been laughed at the last year. But this guy was always in my corner, and he didn't, he wasn't the guy that I called when I had a victory or a rah-rah. He was the guy that I called when I was breaking down or things were really hard, or I was like, man, I got to vent to somebody. Okay. So here's a guy, and Don Leith, that went out there and we talked about the company, and then he went actually to investigate the company. Obviously he had to partner with somebody there, which eliminated him from joining where we actually went. But here's a guy that laid on the landmine so that
Literally.
no one would get blown up in 3LE team. So while we were building the system and creating relationships and having the partnerships take place, here was a guy that made it all happen, and he had to sit in the background. But in the background was still coaching me on how to be a better man, how to be a better leader, how to be a better husband, and someday a father. And so he's become a mentor of mine. And how cool is it that we get to partner with this guy today? Because trust me, you guys are going to love him. He's really special.
Yeah, he and his wife Candy have been tremendous influences in Adam and I's life. And, to Adam's point, Don has shown him, the example of what it takes to be a man. And I'm able to see that in Candy from a woman's perspective, and, what it means to be a wife that just loves your husband and challenges them, but also grows together. And we're just so blessed to have this amazing couple in our life, and to finally have today be the day that we get to officially launch.
Hey, you're watching this, jump up and down, have some hoorahs.
It is a victory day.
Without further ado, please welcome Don Leith to the 3LE team. I know him. I know that guy. Mr. Leith, how are you, sir?
Hey guys, I'm here. I'm doing well. You bet.
Thanks so much for hopping on with us. I know this has been a long time coming, and here's the cool thing that people need to understand. Don Leith's really good at building businesses. He's really good at this industry. He's been looking for the right thing to take shape for a long time. So what I want to do is I have a couple of questions to ask you, and there'll probably be a lot of one-off questions and things like that, because this is more of a conversation than an interview. But tell us, who in the world is Donald Leith, and why are we on a webinar right now?
Wow, that's a great. You guys keep on. I'm going to become a helium head. I mean, wow. Anyway, hey, I'm just a guy that started working when he was 9 years old in a little golf course down in Missouri, caddying. And I could get 60 cents for carrying a golf bag around 9 holes of golf. Being a young entrepreneur like I am, one day I figured out, well, if I could carry more than one golf bag, I could make more than 60 cents. So one day there was these 4 ladies that came out, and there was a foursome and no caddies. I was the only caddy there. And so I thought, well, they just wear these little dinky little canvas bags, they're not too heavy. It's only 2.5 miles. So I took all 4 bags. I was going to get 60 cents times 4. That was a big deal. And besides that, I'll leave her, Mrs. Blank, I'll call her, was the richest lady in town. So I thought, well, this would be a big tip. So I was introduced to entrepreneurship, but the thing I discounted was the fact that no golfer hits the ball right down the middle. So I walked probably 20 miles going around that 2.5 mile course, carrying 4 bags for 4 ladies who were just mediocre to really bad golfers in the process. Now on hole number 6, after green, beside there is tee for number 7, and you can walk over to the clubhouse and you get a bottle of pop. Well, at that time in my life, pop was 10 cents a bottle. Dating me, is it a date, right? 10 cents a bottle. Yep. So I go over to get the pop, and Mrs. Blank gave me the money, come back, finish the course, and we're getting paid. And all these ladies are just really nice. They give me my 60 cents, except Mrs. Blank. She only gave me 50 cents because she bought my pop on number 7T. And I will never forget that. I mean, I was probably 10 or 11 years old at the time, and I thought, you just can't be that bad in business, So anyway, that was my intro, but not to dwell on that, but my whole life has been just working. I love helping people. In high school, I was president of the student council, and really enjoyed doing that at that time. And then after college, I went to college, and after the first year, I thought, wow, I got to do something here. I need to grow up. And my GPA told me, you need to go grow up, because it was like a 1.8. And there I was working my own way through school and working a full job and going to school. And this is crazy. So I went to Uncle Sam's Army, and believe me, you grew up pretty quick there. I was in the military police, in the Army and active duty, and without that. And then I come back from there and I come home and mom says, hey, Lester wants to talk to you about a job. I said, well, Lester, I said, he's the local funeral director. What's he want to talk to me for? Well, at that time, they also had ambulance service and things like that. So I go down and talk with Lester, and he wants me to come to work for him because he knows the family and so on. Well, I can work for him and still drive back to school and finish and all this kind of stuff. And so I told him, I said, look, I'll come down and wash your cars, I'll mow your grass, but I don't know about anything else. I don't know if I can handle whatever. He said, well, just come down, try it. But one thing kind of led to another, and eventually I ended up changing my major and finished out by going to embalming school, got my degree in mortuary science, and I was a licensed funeral director and embalmer for probably 9 or 10 years in that process. And then Lester didn't have any children, so I came back and he told me he's going to sell me the place. Well, my entrepreneur spirit's firing, ready to go. And so a couple more years go by, I couldn't get him off dead center. And so while I'm thinking, when I went to school, my final year, I went down to like a small town kid would do. Not most of them wouldn't, but I did. I go down to a city, a major city, with a paycheck in hand for like 2 weeks pay and 2 weeks vacation. I'm just going to go to the bank and get some money.
Yep.
Wrong. I go to the bank, I had to wait 10 days. Well, I couldn't do that. So I go across the street from where I was living. There's this place called a convenient food mart. And this guy in there, and he was a manager. I didn't know he's the owner, but at the same time he was. And so I get a few things, and he starts asking me questions. He wasn't busy. So I tell him my story, and he says, well, let me see that check. I gave him the check, and he said, I believe you. He says, I'll cash this check for you. Well, there became a new lifetime friendship with the guy who owned that store. And so I went to work for him while I was finishing up school. And then later on, I'll tell you that story because later on, I'm back down in Kentucky visiting him one day, and I'm telling him about how I'm disgruntled, and I had gone and my uncle had got me an interview with the phone company, but I turned it down, because I felt loyalty to the funeral home. I said, this is just a chaotic mess. And he said, really? And I said, yeah. He said, what's that guy's name? Well, I had his business card. The guy had interviewed me. So I gave him the card, and he said, excuse me a second. And I turned around, he dialed the phone. I didn't know what he was doing. I thought he was calling somebody for business. And he said, the guy's name was Carpenter. He says, Mr. Carpenter, just a minute. And he handed the phone across his desk, and he said, here, Don, talk to this man. And then so I had the phone in my hand, and he said, hey, Don, it's great to hear from you. He said, hey, listen, that job is still open if you want it. Wow. Okay. So I accepted the job, and then I came back and resigned from the funeral business and went to Iowa with GTE Corporation, the phone company.
Huge corporation.
And that was a big company. And the fellow who hired me was almost fired because he said, you hired an embalmer, a funeral director, to be marketing? What's this guy know about sales? Well, the part that he didn't really tell the marketing director is that I had been in door-to-door sales, selling encyclopedias in the summer times and vacuum cleaners and worked in a jewelry store and, learned that trade. And I had a lot of business experience. But anyway, I was coached by a few people on how to go about doing marketing correctly in the phone company. And within a year and a half, I was an area manager. Not boasting, it's the fact that I had a lot of good supporting people who helped me move up through the ranks of the phone company. And one of their biggest customers in the phone company, in fact, GTE, was a company called Executone's largest customer in the world. And so our sales group had won several national Executone contests. And so when the Carter phone decision passed in '68, which allowed businesses to start buying their own equipment and residences, I was watching that market, and it was all about a timing issue. And so I resigned from the phone company right before the golden handcuffs locked up, and came to Omaha and went to work for Executone Corporation here in Omaha. And a few years later, purchased that company and had it till 2005. And then after that, I have a lot of energy, and I love working with people, and I love developing people. I can go back and probably find, a lot of people, let me just phrase it that way, a lot of new people that were out of college that couldn't find jobs because they had marketing degrees and business degrees and things like that, that I hired them and brought them into the company and taught them sales and taught them how to go out. And because then, hey, look, we didn't have internet. We didn't even have pagers. We didn't have anything. You're just out there knocking on doors, trying to make it happen. And so that's how we built the business. And a lot of these people today who are out working at other jobs, in fact, I ran across a few of them, told me that they're still surviving today because when times got really, really tough, they were kept while other people were cut from their company because they knew how to go out and stir up business and go out, you know. So anyway, that brought me to the aspect here. And then I started, after I'd sold the business, I started looking into, I got bored real quick. That's just my nature. I call it either a cursing or a blessing with my energy level. But I think it's more of the blessing. But so I started a consulting company, and I love business. I love going in and solving problems. And I had a lot of good luck with that, working with companies, going in and doing things. And then my son, a few years after that, got me involved a little bit in some online marketing activities, some multi-level things. And I found most of these companies had something really in common. All the shiny objects that were there up front, all the promises that were made, and give me money. And then you're trying to build it. Well, hey, look, I was used to building. I knew what it took to build a business. I mean, brick and mortar business is extensively, heavily cash flow requirement. I mean, it's huge, the cash flow requirement. And I don't care what size it is. It's the overhead factor becomes very, very serious. And so I was investing, trying to make all these things happen. And I'd been through a few companies in the process. And I'm sitting one night and on a call. In fact, I was just about done with this business. I'm down the road now a few years. And I'm sitting, and we lived in Nebraska in a little town called Elkhorn. And I'm sitting there one night on a webinar, and they start talking about, on the webinar, they're talking about this new couple that just signed up, that came in, had a lot of experience on the internet. And oh, by the way, I'm a real strong Christian guy. And I will have to tell you, I had been praying, telling Lord, I've got to have some help in this business, or I got to go do something else. You know, and I could go back. And I said, no, I don't want to go back in the funeral business. I haven't been doing that for a long time. You know, but I got to keep busy. I know I have to keep busy. And Candy's the same way. She's a lot of busy. We have 4 kids, 9 grandchildren, but they're all busy people. And so anyway, I ended up, well, senior moment. Where was I, Adam?
Man, you were searching.
Oh, I was sitting on the web.
Yeah,
I was sitting on the webinar.
You had just gotten back from a place called Cabo because this guy actually invested heavily in himself to learn how to build an online business.
Went into a mastermind down in Mexico.
Literally invested in himself to go to a mastermind down in Mexico, and he didn't even get to stay on the resort.
That's an entire story.
It's like
as well.
15 stories in itself.
Yeah.
You guys want to find winners? I don't know if you find them as much as they find you, but Don Leith is the biggest winner I've ever met. You just heard some of his background. He's about to tell you how we met, and it is an absolute and total God thing.
Fine threads.
Yeah, it is. And I had been literally praying, saying, Lord, I need some help. I don't get this. And, you know, the social media aspect of it was a weakness. And I don't have any problem talking to people. I have problem following up, no problem presenting. All those other factors will just come natural. That's not natural. You've built it as you've grown over the different years and so on with it. And so I'm sitting there that night, and they start talking about this new couple from Elkhorn and all the experience they had in the business, et cetera. And I'm sitting there listening to this, and I didn't realize until the end of it is when I think they mentioned Elkhorn. Mm-hmm. And so I put in the chat box, and I went, oh, that's interesting, or something like that. I'm in Elkhorn too.
Yep.
And that's where it started. And it wasn't very long after that you guys and Candy and I met you, and we went to a brunch thing, and the rest of it's kind of been history. But it, you know, kind of feeding off of each other in the process. I learned a lot from you guys, and it's been reciprocal. It's been awesome. It's when you know when your yes is yes and your no is no, and you don't have to, you know, reach around behind you and wonder who's standing back there, because you know it's really a joy and it's a pleasure. And so I applaud you guys as leaders of this 3LE team, and the fact that people that are looking at coming in and doing this business, they can get rid of all the shiny syndrome, you know, things that exist out there, because you're going to hear the facts of the matter here. Mm-hmm. And if you want to come in, people will support you. They'll help you. The systems are in place. It's really amazing what you've done and what you've put together. So you can look at me and know that, hey, any age can come in and do this. You just have to have the desire and the burn to do it. So anyway, I applaud that, and it's been nothing but uphill ever since,
I gotta
in
tell
a
you
really
guys,
good way.
I gotta tell you guys a story real quick here, and this is where Don Leith and Ashley and I's relationship really took off. So he did talk about a company that he was a part of that neither of us are associated with. You know, some people will go build this industry and they'll get stuck.
Mhm.
Some people will go build this industry and fake it. We weren't willing to fake it. We weren't willing to get stuck. So when I met Don Leith, it was on a webinar. We were brand new to a company.
Yeah.
Things were going really well. That's kind of the way we prefer for things to go in 3LE team. And Don was in a situation where he literally walked away from a team of over 300 people to start over at zero to join us. And he did that.
Mhm.
And he did that. Okay. And then he supported and followed us as we continued to figure out exactly what 3LE team was supposed to look like, and went through a year where we figured it out. That was previous to the year he was just talking about. So there's been a little bit of a journey here.
Absolutely.
Now, I know this. When you're in a foxhole and there's bullets flying overhead, and I don't mean to act like I've ever been in a foxhole because I haven't. Don may have been. I don't know that story if he has. But there is no atheist in a foxhole. And so when Ashley and I and Don got unified, it was because we were going through stuff. It's because we knew that we wanted to plant that flag, that 3LE team flag that stands for God, family, country. Okay. And we didn't always have the right partnerships. We didn't always have the right vehicle. We didn't always have the right system. So what we decided to set out to do over the last 24 months was figure out how to have the right team, the right vehicle, the right system.
Yeah.
And caveat to that is the right partnerships. And that's one of the things that Don behind the scenes that you guys maybe will never know about has helped us figure out.
Mhm.
Because you have to ask yourself a couple of questions when you're going to do something long term. Who does it serve? Okay. And can I pass it on? And so every time I've talked to Don, and what he wants to build is called a legacy. Well, who does he want to serve? He wants to serve people in the kingdom. Who does he want to pass it on to? His family. He wants to build a legacy. And not just anybody's going to partner with you unless you have those things in common. Okay. And yeah, you'll have some things that are hard. You'll have some things that are a little bit trying. And we've been through the ringer in this industry. And if you actually heard all of Don's story, he would say, why is that guy still fighting on?
Mhm.
It's because he knows who he is, whose he is, what he's looking to get done, and what he's looking to leave for the rest of his family. Okay. So that's my caveat into the rest of the interview. Now we're going to hit you with some real brain busters, my friend.
Okay, be kind.
So my first question to you is, within your online marketing journey, what was it that made you say, man, there's something to this?
I kept seeing flickers of success, and I kept seeing some flickers of truthfulness in people. Not a lot of people, but in some. But what really was there was a company called Monavie. I was involved in that for a while.
Sure.
Monavie was wonderful products. Actually, the management wasn't too bad, and all of a sudden they just went away. And I never really did know anything about why they went away, and actually until I got involved with Jeunesse. I found out that their products are now in Jeunesse. So that's to tell you the quality of the products. But the fact that I guess what really happened is they had a computer that crashed or whatever, their whole system died and they couldn't get it back up in time. And that's what I heard. Whether don't anybody take that as fact, because I'm just passing along. But the fact of the matter is that it's no difference in any business. If you're in it and you're committed and you can get past the obstacles, because the obstacles are going to be there. They're going to come. You know, you ask the guy who climbed the Matterhorn the first time, you know, and Zig Ziglar talks about this. You know, he said, so yeah, he's just out walking around one day and looked, oh, I think I'll just climb this Matterhorn, and went and climbed right up it. That's not the way it happened.
Yeah.
You know, how many times did he fail trying to get there? How much planning did he have to do? How much sacrifice did he have to make? But he never lost track of his dream in the process. So I don't know when I started out my dream, if I had a dream of so much of the online world, but I was sold in the fact that what I saw happening on the brick and mortar side was complete deterioration, you know, and I saw that happening. I mean, even the people I sold to, I mean, they muffed it. It doesn't even exist now.
Yeah.
All right. And So just, not having taken their eye off the ball and not working with it and so on, you have to readjust and do things. And there was a time, and I'm still not a computer nerd, but when all this stuff started happening, I started taking night classes at Metro Tech Community College. I remember when I was in college, you just look around and say, who's that old guy coming into class? What's he doing? He just didn't plan his life out very well. The first night I walked in class, with my super duper haircut I have now, I thought, hey, Don, you are now the old guy in class. Goes around, comes around. But the fact of the matter is, if you quit growing, then it's going to quit happening in the process. And so and this past year has just really solidified it so much more for me, looking at all the things that have happened. And like I said, we have four kids. They all have really good positions, but there's been some real trauma that has happened inside of those positions and so on. And so we're looking at the 3LE and the Jeunesse relationship by tying this together. And those that want to come in, hey, they can come in. Now they're not any of them starving, but this is explosive potential growth here. I mean, it's just unheard of. I mean, if I were to tell, and I won't, but if I were to tell people the nut that I had to hit in my small business, let me just say it to you this way: it was more than 2 times 6 digits per month. That was just to pay the bills. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so you got to be hustling. You got to be popping it and making things happen like that. And so the opportunity that you can get into with the online business world, especially if you can get the alignment right. Now, 3LE and Jeunesse and the systems that you guys have brought into place in the community, the alignment's right. I mean, I have never seen anything so exciting and so well placed together. I just have not. And so it takes away all the confusion of the people that are out there searching and seeking. They have to get past the doubt. The doubt is what? Well, the doubt is caused from all the stuff in the past that they've had to step in and clean the stink off as they go to the next spot, if you will, and continue looking. Oh, well, what about this one? I mean, even today, I get these silly text messages, do this by 5 o'clock and you can be making 2,000 tomorrow. And I thought, geez, this is crazy. Yep. Your name gets on these lists or whatever, but you just got to stay focused on where you are. So when it's real, it's real. And so that's what kept me involved with it. And I will tell you that you guys are the nuclei, that these are 2 of you, not your business and whatever, but that part, that leadership, which is lacking in everything I've been associated with so far, except for the 3LE team, there is an anchor in 3LE. Mm-hmm. Whether you've been doing this for a long time, whether you're a newbie, whether you're salty or whatever the heck it is, there's room here for you. You just got to get after it and do it. Mm-hmm. It's not a free lunch and it's not a free ride. Yeah, but it is a ride.
Don, I think what's incredible about you is you bring such a humility to our leadership team in so many ways. And I mean, you guys have all listened. You got to hear a bit of his story, and it was Cliff's Notes. Like Adam and I have heard the underbelly, like all the details.
Probably a small part of it, really. Yeah. And just the crumbs of it has made me a better person.
Yep. But what I think is incredible, number one, like you said you were taking classes at Metro to understand technology. People are going to bring baggage with them into a business like this, no matter what, or they're going to bring in some sort of doubt or fear. And what I think is incredible is the balance you bring into this business, because we've talked about this candidly with Don of, Don gets concerned of like, well, I'm not a techie type person. And we're like, that's fine. That's the easy thing to teach. The hard thing to teach is the mindset. And
True.
Don has been an executive. You've been a business owner. Like you have led teams successfully throughout your entire career. And so being able to, if you're watching this and maybe this was sent to you via Don, or maybe you're talking to Adam and I, and, we were like, gosh, you need to hear this guy's story. If you are able to partner with this man, if you're blessed enough to be able to partner with him in your business, you have an incredible tool and asset in your pocket in Donald Lee.
Well, listen, hear it this way. You heard a lot about 3LE team. Okay. You've heard about the system. You've heard about the cool partnerships. Okay. Yep. I partnered with Don on purpose for a purpose. So if 3LE is a cool thing and 3LE has done some game-changing things, if the couple that partnered with Don Leith founded 3LE, I'm pretty sure you'll probably get some pretty cool success out of partnering with Don Leith also.
Yes.
That's all I can say. Just let you come to that conclusion on your own. But there's a reason that he's our partner. So that
And Adam, I want to add, there's some amazing people, absolutely amazing, committed, dedicated, hardworking, wonderful people already in 3LE that are doing it and making it happen. I mean, they are the salt of the earth. This team is just growing, awesome people. And they all have their own stories, but we come to the commonality, and it ties it all together.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So Don, this coming year, and I think we need to make sure that everyone knows, like, you are Don, but you're Papa Don online. That has become your alias. So if you are checking this out, check out Papa Don on Facebook, other platforms. You're going to be able to find him there. But where do you see Papa Don and 3LE team going?
Well, there's two different aspects there. I see 3LE team becoming absolutely internationally huge. I see once people start hearing about how real it is, and their yes is yes, and I said this earlier, and your no is no, and that the truth flows, and they start seeing the real camaraderie within the people, then they're going to want to be part of it. Today we're out recruiting. I see 3LE the day when it's going to be people just say, you're part of 3LE. How do I get in that?
Right.
What do I have to do to become part of this 3LE thing? I hear so much about it because the reputation's out there, all right? And it'll continue to grow. And there's nobody today that I can imagine that's part of 3LE that's not out there doing the same thing that I'm doing right now. They're talking about it. It's the greatest marketing in the world. Word of mouth is the greatest marketing in the world.
Absolutely.
All right. And it's from somebody that's already in it to be out there talking about that and the little things that will happen in 3LE, because there's nobody I can't imagine anybody in part of this group that would run across somebody and find out that person is being recruited by somebody else that's already part of 3LE saying, oh, don't do it with them, come with me. That isn't going to happen. And if it should ever, that person won't be around very long. Because those are just the standards of the group. And besides that, it's the integrity that's there. That's a strength. As far as I see myself, I don't have a limit. I really don't.
So true.
I gotta bring up a story.
I don't have a limit set. I'm trying to get my goals and things all aligned, and because I don't yet know all the numbers, like how many contacts does it take to get a close? How many closes it take to get retention? How much retention take to get this? And do that. When I was in street sales, I could tell you how much money I made when I opened my briefcase. How many times a day I opened it to make a buck. It was kind of crazy, but it worked.
Don, you'll be actually, that kind of caveats into what I want to talk about here. You'll be shocked. You'll be shocked at how many exposures people get to have to 3LE team in coordination with how many sales that you'll make once they see it. But here's another thing. When Don has wanted to build a brand, he's actually built a brand. His brand took a year off, believe it or not, and he had only been building it for a few months. But going back to a year ago when he was investigating this company, he showed up at an event that he didn't know anybody at. He didn't know any of these people personally, but they were coming up to him and saying, hey, are you blank? And I think he was kind of surprised by that. So when you were at that event a year ago and you had never met any of these people, but you were just kind of using some of what we were working with online to build your brand, what were people saying when they were introducing themselves to you at this event a year ago?
It was really mind-boggling. I mean, it didn't happen a lot. Well, I was there for probably a day and a half, 2 days or something of that nature. Probably happened a half a dozen times during that time. Somebody walk up and look at me kind of funny and say, hey, are you Papa Don? Nobody called me by my name. Everybody did the same thing. Are you Papa Don? I said, yeah, I guess that's it. That's me. And they said, that's a great name. I remembered it. And they go from there. And so that was, and by the way, Adam's the one who told me to, and Ashley, we think you should run with that name.
Yep. It's catchy. It has become the brand.
So Don flies from Nebraska down to Orlando, Florida, has never met any of these people. And he had a bigger online presence than he understood he had. And they said, are you Papa Don? Are you Papa Don? Are you Papa Don? He says, well, yes. Why do you know that name? Because the online presence.
Yeah.
And here's how you build an online presence. You are genuine. You are for real. and you actually want to help people. And that's what Don Leith has done. And so when I say you'll be surprised at when people see 3LE, what the conversion rate is, especially when someone like Papa Don shows them this thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And the whole world doesn't know this yet. But when they see 3LE, it's really hard to unsee it. And Don is finally and he's been a part of this thing behind the scenes, not at all involved in Jeunesse or anything like that, but involved in my wife and I's life, involved in some mentorship while we're building this thing out. We have what people want. We have what people need. And there's people like Donald Leaf behind it that can grab you by the hand and say, hey, if you want to go this way, I'll go with you. Yeah. And that is the partnerships that change the world. I'm not talking about a country. I'm not talking about a life. I'm talking about a world and an entire industry. We'll only be quiet for so long because we'll never be the people shouting it from the rooftops. We'll only be big because we stand on the shoulders of giants. And the same thing is true with Don Leith. And we could not be more blessed to be partnered with him. And this right now is a victory that's been a year in the making, friends.
I'll have to tell you that really my greatest joy is seeing somebody succeed that I've been working with. That really, as a Missouri boy would say, that really cocks my rifle.
Yep. Amen. You gotta tell people in closing, and I don't know what the message is, but what would your message be for a brand new person checking this thing out? Or what would you tell somebody that says, man, I want to do something different with my life? I don't know if it's this, but I want to be different. Because us three, we're very different from the rest of the world. But I always love to hear your wisdom in that.
Well, the first thing I would say to them, and I here again, this is back to Zig Ziglar, because first time I ever heard him say this, man, it just cut right in. I said, that's it. That's what's been my nemesis, and that's stinking thinking. That's, some people use that term, but they don't give credit where credit's due. And that's a Zig Ziglar statement. I've heard him say it many times. I was fortunate enough to attend many of his live seminars, and that was always something that came out. And he said, you need a checkup from the neck up, Ziglar. And so the first thing I would say to anybody is, don't come in, listen to the naysayers. Don't come in, listen to all the people behind you, because unfortunately, as sad as this is, even your best friend, some of your family members, maybe they're not your best friend, and people in your class and so on, down deep in their heart, if you could just get them to tell the exact truth, they really don't want you to succeed. They just don't want that to happen, because they just want you to be at the same level where they are, or they would really prefer it if you're a little bit level beneath them. Okay, in that process. Now I'm not saying that to sound like it's sarcastic or whatever. Unfortunately, I think there's a lot of human nature involved in that. The thing I would say to someone is, first of all, no stinking thinking, check it from the neck up, start investing in yourself, start getting into some motivational activity. Know that when you're coming to the 3LE, you're coming into to my way of thinking, you're coming into the best of the best in terms of the marketing world. You're coming into people whose heart is there. There are a lot of Christian people inside this organization, and I'm not putting anybody down who isn't. I'm just saying is that with that, you get a lot of pure honesty that rolls out of people. Okay. And you get the same thing in terms of honesty of a lot of people who aren't. I'm not trying to nail that down, but it's just innate, in the people that are. So you make this combination, and all of a sudden you say, well, it sounds like it's a perfect place. No, it's not, because it's got humans in it, and we all make mistakes. But the beauty is this: you come in with your head right and asking for help, and you're going to get all kinds of help. Mm-hmm. All you got to do is make a commitment. If you come in and think you bought a lottery ticket, pack your bags, kid, and go home. It's not happening. Yeah. It's not going to happen. I hope that's not too short of an answer, but the fact of the matter is, if you want it, then go get it, and it's here for you. Yeah. But you need to put your afterburners on.
Love it,
man. So if you guys just heard that, you just got the wisdom that you'll get anytime Don goes live. If you're on his team, lock and load. Don't let go of the rope, because if you want to go there, he'll help you get there. Okay. Mm-hmm. And this goes out to the entire 3LE team. I've been searching for the leadership of the 3LE team, because I know what's going to happen in 2021. And Don was always a part of it, but he wasn't out there in the forefront until now. I'll just let the entire team know, game on. Okay. And it was worth going through everything we had to do to get here. Don, thank you so much for being the man that you are, for this team and for myself personally and for my wife and I. Cannot wait to just go get in the foxhole and go get this thing done. Anybody we meet along the way that wants to hop in and do battle with us, their life will forever be better for it because of what you represent. And one of my favorite things about Don Leith and I is we had no problem whatsoever giving all the praise, glory, and honor to our risen Savior, Jesus Christ. And that's what fuels us to do this thing when it gets hard. Okay. There ain't no atheist in a foxhole, and you won't find an atheist in the leadership team of 3LE. Okay. All right.
If I could, just to close, I want to thank you and Ashley very much for all your support and help. And also I want to give my best wishes and thanks to everybody that's already a part of 3LE. Like I said earlier, there's wonderful people there, and they're amazing, and love them. And if you're looking to become part of a team, then just pack up your looking gear and throw it away. You're there. Just come on into 3LE and let's get this thing going. You'll be happy you did.
Thanks so much, Don.
Okay.
It's going to be a fun year. Hope you guys have a great night and a Merry Christmas. Also, we'll see you Tuesday, sir, because we got work to do, huh?
Right. Okay, cool.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Yes.
Goodbye.